Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm glad to have everyone here. I started a bit late just so we could give people more time to join, but I guess we'll just continue and hopefully they join us as we go on. So, once again, good morning. I hope everyone is doing fine. This is a continuation of the webinar series we've had this week for the Girls for Code initiative. On Monday, we had a course on artificial intelligence, and today, now good morning, everyone. And today we'll be going into data science and analytics. So just to give us a brief introduction, for those of us who may not have been on the last call, so my name is Amina Babalola and I work with IBM West Africa on the University Relations team. I am an analyst and very passionate about data science and analytics, artificial intelligence, design thinking. I have a bachelor's in computer science and I'm really excited about emerging technologies. So in the course of the session, you can make use of the comment section. If you have any questions, you can put that in and then I can respond to them as we go, or we can have a question and answer session at the end of at the end of the course. Okay, so for those who do not know, the platform we're using or the program that this is under is what we call the IBM Digital Nation Africa. Basically just an initiative to empower Africans with the right skills, the right tools to, give them that edge over other people and just make yourself relevant because we all know we're moving into a digital space and it's necessary to have, key emerging technology skills. So not because you're not necessarily to be an IT professional. So regardless of where you are, what, industry you're focused in, business, entrepreneurship, you could be a lawyer, a doctor, or whatever it is, it's necessary as we've gotten to this point in the way the world is evolving to have these necessary skill sets. And we've looked at certain sought after skills that have been booming in the job markets. And this is why we've used that to kind of like transform the platform. And the platform essentially lets you skill up across key emerging technologies like blockchain, artificial intelligence, data science and analytics, Internet of Things, cybersecurity, cloud computing. And apart from those technical skills or these digital or emerging technologies, we've also seen that, we had to make some additions also. So we added what we call the professional skills. So we figured out that you need to still have some certain soft skills, things like, effective collaboration, things like interpersonal skills, things like delivering work with agility, and all that. So just to make you a well-rounded, individual or professional. So the platform just allows you to scale up from across these different technologies, these different courses, from what we call the Explorer through the Innovator. So the Explorer is just, the grassroots, your introduction to, at least understand, have a grasp of what these different technologies or what these courses are all about or what these subject matters are about. So, you have a grassroots or ground root to see, how to go forward. When you get to the innovator stage, it's more about application. So you've known, about this, what AI is, what data science is. And then, you're looking to see how can you actually apply this in real life situations. How can you come up with solutions or to problems in your society or in your communities, or how can you come up with solutions to help enable your businesses or just upskill in general. And lastly, the new color is where, a lot of people like this because this is where you find jobs. But the platform actually lets you be able to find jobs. So it lets you put in your information, so your education, your skill sets, the things you've been able to interact with prior to signing up for the platform and while you're also on the platform. But this just allows you to be able to find jobs. So the entire platform is powered by artificial intelligence, which lets you put in your details and then it filters out this information and matches it to available job opportunities. So not just within IBM, but IBM and outside IBM. What we've done is we've partnered with different recruitment agencies to make this possible. So and not just in Nigeria, but in Africa as a whole, because this is, an African initiative to empower Africans in general. So this is something you might like to go ahead and, just check and just see what it is. And on the platform, to enable you be able to, hone these skills and be able to practice and, put these things into real life. We've also given you a free Cloud Light account that lets you be able to access IBM Cloud, be able to build and, just go put this skill sets into real life where you could actually, it's like a workshop where you have, all the services, all the softwares, all the tools that enable you to build effective solutions. So in a nutshell, that is a summary of what we have so far. And like I said, on Monday, we had artificial intelligence, and today we'll be going into data science and analytics. So I'm going to share my screen now. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the comment section and I will respond to your questions. So I'm going to share my screen now so we can begin the course. So what we'll be doing, we'll be looking at, just a brief introduction, just to, understand how exactly, data science works. And at the same time, we'll also look at certain case studies to just help us, have a better view and see, real life illustrations of applications of data science so across various industries. So health, it could be in the environment, it could be in education or leadership. We'll look at some case studies. But first of all, just to break it down, I mean, in the simplest form, data science or data analysis is just about data as information. But when you talk about data science and analysis or, getting insights from data, it's just about how can you use this information, this data that you have, and be able to come up with, certain solutions or be able to get insights. So how do you make meaning out of this data? How do you make meaning out of this information? So essentially that is what data science and analytics is. So we'll be looking at our first video just to see how the business of data works. So this case study focuses on the health perspective for data science and analytics and how they were able to apply data science to make life easier for everyone, all the stakeholders involved in this particular business. So I'll advise us to look, pay attention, take notes. We'll be having a quiz at the end of the session, so let's just pay attention and I hope you enjoy it.
While it's difficult to put a price tag on the global economic burden of diseases like asthma, it's clear that improving access to preventative care is a key part of the solution. In the US alone, 2 million asthma sufferers will land in the emergency room due to preventable attacks, and $50 billion a year is spent on asthma, with hospital visits as the largest contributor. So what if we could identify patterns behind these attacks and prevent them, saving billions of dollars in unnecessary suffering? Meet Sophia. She's a data scientist at Apex Analytics, studying trends in the field of biomedical research. She's been working on a project involving weather data and pollen, a known asthma trigger. So when Sophia's colleague Jane mentions her son's recent hospitalization for an asthma attack, Sophia wonders if the dramatic seasonal change over the weekend was a trigger. And if so, could weather forecasts predict when patients are at a higher risk of an attack? Jane is intrigued by Sophia's hypothesis, and as an offering manager, she gets approval to research an application that could be sold as an alert service. Together, Sophia and Jane gather preliminary business and academic information, discovering that Sophia's theory has not been validated, but if they find a link, this could be a breakthrough for patients and related healthcare businesses. Sophia decides to move forward with her research and approaches her data engineer, Greg, to determine how to proceed. They'll need a combination of data. Internal data can be sourced from earlier Apex research using electronic medical records. The records on asthma-related emergency visits they'll need are considered privileged and have to be extracted and kept private. They will also look at external data sources such as pollution and weather data that are publicly available. With the right data set secured, Sophia and Greg begin to clean and process the data, a task sometimes called data wrangling. This involves removing irrelevant data points and putting the right information into a format so it can be easily analyzed later. The next step is data exploration. Sophia looks for relevant location and time-specific correlations. For example, she compares wind patterns with past asthma records to see if the spread of pollen correlated to a high outbreak. Sophia's findings support her hypothesis, so she begins feature selection and model selection to create a predictive model. Based on the correlations, she selects features in the data that are the most useful and relevant to predicting asthma outbreaks. Now that the model is set, Sophia starts to cross-validate by dividing her data and conducting multiple tests for accuracy. If those tests perform well, Sophia runs a test on an entirely new set of data the model hasn't seen. After successful testing, Sophia has quantified what specific weather conditions are strongly tied to the onset of severe asthma attacks. And now that she has created a model to accurately predict those conditions, she can deploy it to create an alert application that will benefit patients and businesses. With the help of Greg and other software and DevOps engineers, they turned Sophia's model into the accessible Application Programming Interface, or API, that will service the alerts. Meanwhile, Jane, as the offering manager, starts telling her clients about the new application and how it can be of use to them and their business. For insurance companies, it's fewer expensive ER visits when their patients are prepared. For hospital administrators, it's cost savings and smarter staffing of specialists. For pharmacies, it's higher customer loyalty and engagement when they alert customers to get their prescriptions on time. And finally, for people like Jane and her son, it's being able to enjoy the seasonal weather.
Okay, so we could see from that first video that that was just one application of data science analytics. So we could see how they were able to predict. So there are different forms of data science or data analysis. We usually have descriptive, which focuses on what things that have already happened, and then we have predictive, which focus on things that would that things that can happen, so things of the future, so predicting things that can happen. And then prescriptive is the focus on things that should happen. So how do you use the information you have? How do you use the data to give a prescription for a certain circumstance or a solution to a problem? So in this case here, it was more of a predictive analysis, and they were able to see how they could involve different people and make life easier for everyone. Because this means that both the patients at that end also are covered. So and what used to happen before was the outbreak just happens and they are not prepared for it. So it means they're all rushing to the hospital as an emergency, and they may not have their inhalers ready or their prescriptions at hand, and they will need to rush to the hospital. On the other end of the hospital also means that they would also they will have an influx of patients coming in, which they haven't planned for. And they may not even have enough of those drugs or those prescriptions needed or the inhalers needed for those patients to deal with that particular outbreak. At the same time, you also have the insurance company, which usually covers your health bills and all that. So this just gave everyone, all the stakeholders involved in this, so both the patient, both the hospitals, both the insurance companies, just gave them more awareness and gives them the opportunity to be prepared. So they know that, okay, let's say in April, we know that, yes, this is, there's a prediction that, okay, this should be when we would have the outbreak of asthma attacks. So we are more prepared. We make sure we have all the prescriptions ready. We have enough drugs stocked up. And at the same time, they won't even have that influx because even the patients will have the information. So you've seen they put that all together into a mobile application where you get a notification that says, okay, it could be maybe weeks before or a month before that says, okay, come and pick up your prescription, because, the outbreak is coming out, next month. So it just keeps everyone covered. It just makes life easier for everyone. And, everyone's expectations are met adequately. So in a nutshell, that was just one application in the health industry. So we're going to look at another video which talks about or defines the future of data. I don't know if anyone has heard this before, but people now say data is the new oil. And there's so much to be done with data. The people who would actually, make the most out of data science, or people who we actually call data scientists, are people who know what to do with the data. Because data has always existed for centuries. We've always had data because data is, like I said, information. But it's all about what you do with that data. How do you mine that data? How do you harness that data to create insights? What do you use that data to come up with? How do you apply that data to come up with solutions? So it's mostly about those people who know what to do with the data. But this video will just give us a brief insight into the future of data.
I see the jobs in the data era shifting to be about data science. It's not so much about infrastructure, but it's about insight. How do we get insight out of the data? And that's what a data scientist does. In the data era, every problem is a data problem. So that's what gets me excited every morning. It's about how do we apply technology, how do we apply skill, and how do we apply insight to get to better outcomes. And it's really interesting. If you just reframe your mindset around every problem is a data problem, because ultimately it is, you really start to see the kind of impact you have. It's a totally different world. It's being defined by data, and the people that are going to have the biggest impact in this world are people that know what to do with the data, and that's the data scientist.
Okay, yeah, sorry about that. Had a quick hitch. So we could just see, just like I said, it's essentially about what you do with that data. And like the people who would really, have much impact in the future are not necessarily those who are technical or those who, went to school to study about, technology, but people who know what to do with the data and how to apply that data and information to come up with solutions. Okay. Like I said, if you have any questions, you could put that in the comment section and I'll respond to it. Okay, so we'll look at 3 different case studies just to see how we could actually apply data science and analytics. So this one is, predictive again, but in terms of how do we able to predict environmental changes. So imagine if, you could actually predict, something happening before it happens. So in this case, it was about predicting drought. So how do they predict, droughts before it happens so they are more prepared? So if it's going to happen 100 years in advance, they know what to do, they know how to put that infrastructure in place to cater to that situation when it happens. So you could even use, for example, let's even use this COVID pandemic. I mean, it all came unawares, but imagine if, there were some traits, for example, and you were supposed to predict, or even after this happened, let's say this ends up subsiding and we want to see, okay, how do we predict the chances of, this kind of thing happening again? So you could actually use predictive analytics to do that. And, you just make sure that everyone is more prepared for the situation or for such an outbreak to happen. So we'll look at how they're able to predict environmental changes. So when we say in real time, it means at the moment, so not 1 week before, not 1 minutes after, not hours after, but in real time. So you get that information, you get that data as it happens, so in real time, in current time, as it is.
We do a lot of monitoring of micrometeorological conditions in the forest and outside of the forest. We don't see a separation between atmosphere, soil, and vegetation. It's a continuum. When I started this project, I didn't have an idea of the amount of data that I was collecting.
We have 40 nodes, maybe 3 sensors per node. In some sites, we call them super sites, we have well over 200 optical sensors.
So we focus a lot about real-time big data, how to analyze huge volume of data in real times. So we came up with a platforms. It's a kind of middleware software that was created in our department, and now it's part of the IBM product line.
Previously, we would have to rely a lot on teams to go into the field, collect the data, and what would normally take me weeks, just slaving over data, I can now show them in real time. So we have the ability to really have our eyes in the field from here.
The way we analyze carbon is the direction of where carbon is moving. So we do that with our streaming analytics to see if carbon moving up or moving down from the trees.
If I want to know how much carbon a forest is absorbing, it may take 6 months to find out. With IBM, I know in real time.
We get continuous measurements 24 hours for 365 days. We're not only looking at a few hectares, we're able to expand this to whole regions of a country.
If we can actually predict that a drought is present, let's say 100 days before an executive decree by a government that declares that it's a drought, you can have 100 days ahead for planning and adaptation. It's allowing us to actually have more impact on policy. I see in the next 5 years better visualization techniques, better apps, better training of graduate students, and a better understanding of full ecosystem processes that we don't have today.
Okay, so I'm sure we just saw that. So you can see how amazing technology is. This is something that usually they would need, field workers to go out and, take months to be able to just collect the information to see, what is happening in the environment. See, for example, where the direction which carbon is moving, just to know how, the forest is actually absorbing the carbon and growing. So these are things that would take so much time. But now with technology, with the application of data science and analytics, they've been able to see how they can have this information, like I said, in real time. So immediately as it's happening, they have the information, they can process the information and then go forward to be able to predict environmental changes or the possibilities of things happening. So I think it's quite fantastic, and it just shows you just how technology is advancing and making things easier for everyone, making life easier, and making the world a better place. So next, the case study we'll look at next, like I said, I mentioned earlier on, this has to do with more about education and leadership at the same time. So this could also be from the business point of view or from a teaching point of view, for example. So look at some Girl Scouts and see how they were able to leverage big data. So why I said business is because here they were focusing on, membership retention. So that's something in your business you could use to just okay, how do I get more of my customers, or how do I meet the expectations, how do I understand my membership base or my customer base, how do I do my customer segmentation, how do I know how to cater to their needs, how do I provide for the expectations.
Girl Scouts is a great thing to do, and I would recommend it to any girl. It's probably changed my life, thinking differently, thinking how could I help other people. It's made me learn how to give myself goals and how to work towards it.
Girls are 50% of the population, but they aren't 50% of leadership roles.
10% of all girls are Girl Scouts, but those 10% go on to represent 80% of women in executive leadership roles. So it means that we're doing something right. But nationally, we've been losing members really for about a decade.
My personal reaction when I saw the numbers declining and began to study the reasons why, I knew, for example, on an aggregate level that Girl Scouts of Eastern Pennsylvania retained 53% of its girl members. That's all I knew, because I just didn't have the expertise at that point to dig deeper.
We have learned through our IBM grant that girls who are more engaged actually stay with the Girl Scouts longer.
It's obviously the girls that sell the cookies, the girls that attend the programs.
They're learning financial planning, they're learning inventory management, how to communicate with others, sales. So they're learning financial literacy. It's a really big part of how a girl develops some leadership skills.
The predictive analytics showed us what girls tend to stay with Girl Scouts longer. Everything that we do and everything that we pull leads towards how do we keep those members on board.
Now, because of the influence of IBM and big data, I can tell you that we began the year at a 76% retention rate for girls. The information is there. If we want to sustain Girl Scouting, we've got to marry big data and analytics with the work that we do on the ground.
IBM gave us the opportunity to pull data from all of those different databases, put it into one place in SPSS. This gives us the opportunity to base decisions on actual data so we can see real trends and move forward.
I think the IBM SPSS software solution is certainly going to support our mission, because now we don't have to just rely upon Excel spreadsheets to try to extrapolate future growth and try to develop trend lines.
My boss is thrilled that I can give her better reports that mean something more to us now than it did a year ago.
This is not your mom's Girl Scouts. This isn't even this Girl Scouts that I had when I was a brownie. This is really an organization that's building up the next generation of leaders.
My role model is my mom. She's pretty inspiring, and I want to be a Girl Scout leader like her.
I've always tried to show her that you can pretty much do whatever you want to do. You can be whatever you want to be when you grow up. It teaches them values, morals, also how to be better people all around.
There was seamless work between IBM on the global business services side, as well as corporate citizenship, and then how that all blended together with the IBM SPSS software. I felt like we were working with colleagues of the Girl Scouts?
We learned more about ourselves than we knew. It's a great opportunity. It takes a lot of work, and we're prepared for it because we're Girl Scouts.
Okay, so I'm sure this is one example we can all resonate with because I mean it focuses on female representation, which is something I'm sure we're all passionate about as females. But we could see how just how amazing data is and how data was able to help them with their retention rates because essentially I mean it's all about those who are more involved. So let me even give a different example apart from what we've gotten. So let's use a school setting, for example, and you have a class of people, secondary school, for example, and you're trying to predict, okay, who would, come out top 5 in the class. There are certain indicators or certain information that you could use to be able to predict that. So things like, okay, who does their assignments on time, who turns in their assignments on time, who um, gets the highest scores in their tests, things like that. Just seeing, those different levels of participation that lead to a successful individual. So these are just these things that you could use, but you need to be able to, like I said, there's always information, there's data, all this information is available to us. But it's more about what you do with the information, how you process that information, and the kind of insights you're able to get from that information. So in a nutshell, yeah, like I said, even for the business point of view, imagine you're trying to just understand your customers better, understanding why maybe you're losing customers, understanding how you can get more customers, understanding how you can even, cater to the needs of the ones you have. How do you meet the expectations? So you have all the information, you have all the details. It's just about processing that information and, getting the right insights and knowing what to do with that data or that information. Okay, like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the comment section. We're going to look at this last case study, and this focuses on slashing energy costs. So I'm just going to break it down for us so it doesn't seem so advanced when we watch the video. So we know in hotter regions or like in Nigeria or where we are, our focus mainly is on getting air conditioners because it's really hot. So we need air conditioners to cool us, and we spend a lot of money on electricity, on paying for that and all that. But in colder regions where it's actually the opposite, so what they actually spend more money on or what they focus on is on heat. So how do they actually have enough heat because it's too cold, so they need to pay for heat. So in this kind of places, they need to find how best to maximize the heat that they pay for. So let's even use, for example, a church, and let's say you pay for your heating for a month. It means that you've paid a lot of money for that, but at the same time, you need to be able to utilize it to the best capability. So you can't say, okay, I'm just going to be opening it on Sundays if that's just how many days in the month, just one day every week. So that would not be cost effective. But if you could say, okay, yeah, I mean, we have other weekly activities, we can have choir practice, Bible study during the week. So it just means more people are coming into the building and that heat's actually being utilized and the money you're paying for is being used properly. But there are certain things that all contribute to how effectively a building is able to absorb heat. So things like, okay, the structure of the building, is it made out of stone? What is the matter that makes up the actual structure of the building? Then apart from the content matter of the building itself, things like, okay, going back to structure again, the nature of the ceilings. Are the ceilings high? Are they low? Are the windows big? Are they large? All these factors contribute to all effectively using energy and effectively spending your money in the right way. And it also helps different people. So you could be coming into a region as a new person or coming into a new town and just trying to look at, okay, what kind of house should I pick, or what kind of house should I rent? If you have access to this kind of information to know, okay, this house, for example, it's made of this structure and this, and this. But essentially, yeah, this is the energy, the amount of energy is able to absorb. So okay, this is the amount of heat that the building can take. So I know, okay, are we spending this amount of money on heat as compared to if I was living at this other part of town where, okay, these buildings are so and so, and I'm spending this amount of money on heat. So it just helps you. It helps even the landlords, the owners of the building, to be able to, properly put in the price for, rent. And it also helps you as the renter to also look and see what is affordable for you and see what is most effective for you in terms of, conserving heat and effectively spending your money. So we'll go forward and we'll just look more into it and see the power of data science and analytics, and see how they're able to build a platform, use their databases, and just see what the experience was like for them.
Hi, my name is Turaj. I lead the engineering operation at BlockPower. We use technology to transform inner city buildings, low-income neighborhoods, and small businesses to become energy efficient, environmentally friendly, and healthy for the residents, owners, and surrounding neighborhoods.
Hi, I'm John Thomas. My team and I got involved in this very interesting project with BlockPower. When Turaj came to us and described his business problem, we said, well, this is the perfect solution to build out with Watson Data Platform and Watson Cognitive Services. So I learned a thing or two about buildings. Looks like there is a relationship between the thermal mass of a building and how the building is used. What is thermal mass? It is the amount of heat that is held by the structure. Stone has got high thermal mass, which means that there is a lot of energy that has to be spent to heat up that structure. The structure holds that heat before people can use the insides of the church in a comfortable way. Now think about what is the least efficient way to use a building with high thermal mass, to use it sporadically. If you have a church with high thermal mass, and you open up the doors of the church only on Sunday mornings, you have to heat up that whole structure just for the 2 or 3 hours that that building is being used. Not very efficient. However, with a church that holds heat in its structure, if the utilization or the use of that building is much higher, for example, they may be running a soup kitchen or maybe opening up the doors for social activities, the energy efficiency actually tends to be better. I am in the data science experience tool of the Watson Data Platform. It allows a data scientist at BlockPower to bring in historical data and do some exploratory analysis with that data. So in my notebook, I am looking at what factors affect the energy efficiency of buildings. The metric I'm working with is EUI. It is a common metric that describes the energy efficiency of a building. The higher the EUI value, the less efficient that building is. And you can see that in the graph here. I'm looking at buildings across the 5 boroughs of New York City, and the higher EUI values are shaded in darker colors. And you can see that Bronx has got a lot of high EUI or low efficiency buildings. Not surprising, because Bronx has got a lot of old stone buildings. Scroll down. Let's look at the distribution of these buildings. Looks like about 50% of them are brick, 30% are stone, and about 20% are concrete. Now look at how I have done these visualizations. A single line of code. The Brunel visualization library lets me create these very compelling visualizations without having to do a lot of programming. But these are all interesting observations, but there are no real insights yet till you look deeper at the relationship between different factors, different attributes, and EUI. Let's take a look at some other observations. This one shows me the relationship between heating systems and heat distribution systems. Here I have the relationship between high ceilings and big windows. Let's move on to this final graph here. You're seeing the power of unsupervised machine learning at play. My analysis is telling me that there are 3 distinct clusters of church buildings: low EUI, medium, and high EUI. When I click on the low EUI one, it tells me the factors that are significant to that particular cluster. Not that old, gas furnaces, and so on. If I look at the high EUI ones, I see other factors that contribute to the behavior of that church. As a data scientist, my analysis has shown me that there are different clusters, types of buildings in terms of energy efficiency. So if I can build a machine learning model and deploy that, when I have a new church come in, I can score that church against the machine learning model to understand how efficient that church is going to be. We will look at how to create that machine learning model. You can take a programmatic approach, or you can take the more democratized approach that IBM provides. So let's take a look at that. So here I have a visual way to create my machine learning model. I am in the pipeline artifact of DSX, and I can bring in my data, see a preview of that data. There are transformers that I can work with to change or work with that initial data. I can decide what features from my data set should be used in the machine learning model. Let's create a few models and look at how they compare in terms of performance. I'm going to build 3 different logistic regression models. They have different features being used from my data set. When I compare the performance of them, I can see visually that one of my models has got very good performance. The area under the rock curve is 0.98, extremely good. When I do that, with my untrained data, I can see that the model still behaves very good. The performance is very high, and I am now satisfied that this model will behave well enough for me to deploy and operationalize. With a single click, I can deploy this. It gives me an endpoint and API key. These are the only 2 pieces of information that my app developer needs to know. So I'm going to pass this information on to the app developer team.
This is where the power of technology and innovation comes in. So we said, what if we make the knowledge and expertise of our engineers accessible to everyone via their mobile phones? In other words, every building owner, manager, and tenant can have an engineer friend who can guide them on how to conduct a technical survey of their buildings, identify replacement measures to reduce their bills, and evaluate their costs and benefits. We also wanted this virtual engineer to be interactive and intelligent. So we decided to talk to our friends at IBM and to see what solutions they can offer us.
BlockPower has partnered with a company that builds mobile applications using a platform called Harmony built on Compose. The app development team uses these APIs to invoke the machine learning model that has been built and deployed. What if you could engage the end user in a more compelling way? We are going to use Watson Conversation Services and Watson Image Recognition and extract information from the superintendent about the church, enough information to build a profile of that church, and then invoke the machine learning model and get a score back in terms of how energy efficient it is. We took the best of machine learning and deep learning and brought them together, the best of Watson Data Platform and Watson Cognitive Services, working together to build a compelling solution for BlockPower.
Okay, so I mean, we just saw that example, and like I already explained before, it was just all about maximizing cost. How do you make, how do you have how do you make cost-effective decisions, so both as the landlord and both as a tenant, just to see how everything's accessible to everyone. And I'm sure some thoughts that may be going through our minds are, I'm not a technical person, I'm not a programmer, so how do I access this? How can I make use of this? But which is why you could see, if you paid attention to when he mentioned, he said there are 2 approaches. You could go through the programmatic approach if you're a technical person, or the more democratic approach as he penned it. So the more democratic approach would be more about, like, for someone, you don't necessarily have to be a programmer, a coder, or be a technical person. That's the way the platform has actually been designed. So it's more about drag or drop. drop, sorry. And you can see how it said just by one push of a button, you have all that information. So you're not really writing those codes for yourself. We help you do that, and you can just access it and just see. So it's more, like I said, more of just dragging and dropping, and more about visualization, just seeing what you're trying to work on. So it just makes it easier for those who may not have, a technical background or have any program experience. So it means that even though you're not technical or you don't have a background in coding or programming, you can still perform data analysis and essentially come up with solutions and see how you can make things better. So there's some, I'm sure they mentioned some tools. So I mentioned at the beginning of the session that, the link, the platform allows you to actually have access to a free cloud account that lets you be able to build. So it means you have access to all these different tools. They've also mentioned things like the IBM Compose, which right now is actually called IBM Watson Studio. Things like, the IBM machine learning. So a lot of services, a lot of tools that you could actually use to build your solutions. I showed also, all this information, how to get to it in the last session. So you can actually just see and access it, and it's all for free. You just have to be willing to go look for it, willing to give your time to apply it. And this is something you can use to come up with solutions to help, like I said, improve your businesses, just come up, improve your community, your society, and just even improve yourself, just to upskill and just to learn and have that needed knowledge to just give you an edge over people and make you different or set you apart. Because we all know that, there are what really differentiates you from other people. It's all about sorry, someone seems to be.
I didn't say sorry. I did not say go set. I did not say I'm.
Sorry, can we mute our mics? Okay. Sorry about that. So essentially it's, sorry, I'm gonna share my screen again. It's just all about, just figuring out how you can make the most out of the information you have. Like I said, there's data everywhere, but it's all about what you do with that information. So just for the sake of those who are not here in the first class, I'm just going to show you what I meant. So this is what the platform looks like. This is the landing page. I'm going to put the link for the platform here in the chat box. It is just www.digitalnationafrica.com. And put that down now. That's Digital Nation Africa. So for each course you take on this platform, once you have an 80% pass mark on the course, you actually get digital badges, which you could actually post in your LinkedIn pages, attach your email signatures, just to show people what you've been able to do, because these badges actually contain metadata that consists of the skill sets you've been able to hone, what you've been able to achieve, what you've been able to learn, what you're capable of doing. We've got a lot of success stories where people talk about, oh, I posted this on LinkedIn and, I got someone give me a call, reach out to me to come speak at some events, or to come to get a job, or just to do something, or just shows your visibility, just gives you visibility and just shows you and these are well accredited courses which give you access to just shows that you have what it takes. So this is what the platform looks like. I'm just going to go through my dashboard here. So each user, you just need your email address to access this and sign up for the platform. Sorry, please can we mute our microphones? Okay. Yeah, so you can actually see your progress levels, see the courses you'll be able to take. You have tools here, which, like I mentioned, you actually have access to a free IBM Cloud account. You can see like over 170 plus unique services. You can actually start building immediately for free. And if you're just wondering, you're not really sure where to start, or what this products are all about, there are what we call product trials, where you could actually discover a wide range of IBM products, where you could just see what does what and see how you could apply it to your businesses or apply it to any solution you're trying to develop. And we also have demos, obviously, where you can actually just see and demo how and have a feel of how exactly this product work, or how exactly you go about building this product. So this is all available to everyone who signs up for the platform. I'll just take us through the learning path for data science and analytics, for example. So there are a lot of courses, like I said, ranging from basic to from 30 minutes to more advanced, where it goes to hours. You can see here, you can predict employee turnover. So this could be useful for your business. Obviously also identifying potential repeat customers. So that's for your business also. You could analyze and predict heart failure. You can see the science fundamentals, data understanding and preparation. So it takes you from the grassroots, from the basic level up onto the point of integration. So there's even a course in Python. And obviously, even like it's very important because when it comes to talk about data science and analytics, it's very important to know how to communicate your business insights. How do you actually visualize your data, your insights, your information? How do you present it to your stakeholders, for example? Or how do you actually refine and make meaning of your session? Okay. So at this point, I'm just going to give a few minutes for us to, if you have questions, let's drop our questions in the comment section and I'll attend to them. For the sake of time, I was hoping we would go through the quiz, but I'll indulge all of us to go sign up for the platform and you can go over the material again and take the course, take your quiz so you can get your badges and you can be able to pass. So let's just, I'll give you a few minutes. So 2 minutes so you can drop your questions and I can respond to them. Okay. Okay, so I can say question. We don't need to have a computer science background to take any of these courses, and they are free. Yes, yes, yes. Lola, you're right. You don't need to have a technical background. This is why we have what we call the explorer stage, where it introduces you to all this skill sets. So you don't need a computer background. You could be a business person, an entrepreneur, a doctor, a lawyer, whatever it is, and all this is provided to you for free. Okay, so you said for an educator, what benefits do we have as data analytics as well when related to education? Okay, so I'm going to give an example with that, with the what do you call it, with the Girl Scouts case study, where I could say, for example, you can be able to even predict or understand how best your students are performing, understand their performance level. So the same way it's applied to businesses, the same way you can actually apply it to your classroom to just understand, where the students are coming from, understand how better to improve their performance, how better to engage them with the information. So it's just about information, it's about data. You just have to take out their information, take out their performance levels, and with that, you can actually be able to put it in and understand, what is happening. So that's just on one end. But also, we also have what we call design thinking. There's a course on design thinking. Let me show you. Design thinking is basically just putting yourself, it's all about a user-focused approach, coming up with solutions. So putting yourself into the shoes of the users or the person, or for example, in this situation, your students, and understanding where they're coming from, how they feel, and being able to cater to their needs. So I would say design thinking will be a way to just improve innovation in your classroom, and for you to be able to empathize more with your students. So I hope that answered your question. Okay. Okay, no problem. No problem. You're welcome. You're welcome. I'll check that on LinkedIn. Does anyone else have any questions going forward? Okay, if we do not have questions, Olaide, I don't know if you have a closing note or something to say. So thank you very much. Thank you everyone for your participation. Thank you for making our time to attend the session.
Thank you, Aminat.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I want to say thank you to your team at IBM for providing this opportunity, this platform for everyone. And I want to say thank you to everyone who was able to join, Mrs. and Grace, Olayemi, Oluwatosin. Thanks so much for coming on board and having this experience together. It's wonderful to have. Okay, my wife too. Thank you for joining virtually. All right. What I want to also encourage is this skills is in high demand right now. Notwithstanding what you're currently doing, it falls in place. Either you are an educator like Mrs. Bilola, either you are a teacher, you are even a fashion designer. I think the first class we had an experience where we can adopt AI with fashion. So it cuts across whatever career path that you are currently ongoing right now. So you can adopt these technologies and use it to boost your business, boost your exposure, create a solution with your career. So thanks so much to everyone, and appreciate Aminat for hosting us and having this wonderful section together. And I appreciate you so much. Thank you. At the Girls Code Initiative, we're trying to ensure that young girls come in this technology space, and we would always have this opportunity going forward to have IBM come to boost our knowledge and talk to us about new ways to do things. The lockdown notwithstanding, it's equally an opportunity to run these classes virtually. It was not visible before, but this has become a new normal for all of us together, and this innovative way of having classes online. And once we have overcome this fear, we can have a physical class. Maybe one of the teams in Abuja, I believe Amina can help us facilitate that. We can have one of them to join us in Jos and have a physical class also. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Olaide. Thank you everyone for joining. Like I said also in the last session, so I am recording the session. So I'll share the recordings with Olaide, and I'm sure he'll be able to get it across to everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, so at this point, I think we'll call this to a close. Thank you very much everyone for your time. Have a good day and enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, thank you, Sue. Bye.
Thank you.